friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel, A Radical Relationship, where we are talking all things faith and all things lifestyle. So I am back today with a what I call topical video. So lately I've been doing my series on the Wisdom from Women in the Bible book, and I haven't done a video recently just talking about something, that's going on in my life or whatever. So now that I'm settled into my new apartment back in Tennessee, I'm finding my new groove, and here we are. So today I'm going to be talking about just what this move has been like for me. I've done a number of videos on dealing with transition, walking through different seasons with God. So this topic is one that I've lived out and am continuing to live out. And I'll, of course, remind you all of a couple of those videos as well, so that you can go back and check some of those out. So let's just talk about it. I have a few questions here to kind of keep me on topic, but just starting from the beginning of what made me want to move, and how did I even kind of come to the conclusion that I was going to do that and that was going to be best, or whatever the case may be. So for those of you who either know me personally or have been following me for a little minute, I recently went through a divorce. So I had gotten married in 2016 in Richmond, and then my divorce was final July of 2020, this year, 2020. So almost 4 years later. And so naturally with the divorce, you're already evaluating a lot about life. And it had never really crossed my mind to want to move, but the question was coming up since I was in Richmond and I didn't have any family there and that kind of thing, are you thinking about moving back home? And I was like, no, I didn't move here for him or anything like that. So it really wasn't on my radar. And so I had come home to visit like January of this year. And I was kind of like, okay, I don't remember if there was like a specific thing that happened. I can't remember if there was like something happened that said it, but I remember during that trip, I just got the nudge just within me. I would say that, like, I feel like God is bringing me back home. And so I told a couple people at that time, just like, I'm not sure what the timing is going to be or what this is going to look like, but that's what I feel like in my spirit, in my soul. That's what I feel led towards right now. And it wasn't necessarily like a desire of mine. So that's how I knew it wasn't me. And so from there, I started to pray about it, and I started to put those bugs in people's ears. I had a conversation with my manager to just say, hey, this is kind of where I'm at, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, because I didn't want him to be caught off guard. And we had a really great personal relationship as well. So just started thinking and praying on it. My divorce wasn't even final, and I didn't know how long it was going to take for it to be final. So I didn't have a concrete plan, which is not my MO. And I knew I wanted to stay with my company. So I, let people in the Memphis office know that I was trying to get back home, and just started to set a few things in motion, just to see where things landed. Did a couple job interviews and that kind of thing, and just started to explore my options and whatnot. And so one of the pieces of advice that was given to me, and it was actually by my manager, was, hey, COVID has hit, you're working from home, we're not able to be out and about in terms of work anyway. Go spend some time in Tennessee, see how you feel, and just spend some significant time there to see if this is something real, or if it's just more of an emotional thing. So I came home probably April. It had to be May. Came home in May, spent a few weeks here, 2 to 3 weeks here, and I was like, okay, yeah. And so one important thing that I will say is that, like, I knew it wasn't me because this wasn't necessarily the glamorous decision. In fact, I think instead, even spending time at home just also brought out more things that actually I could have ran from, because it was bringing out things that I needed to work through as it concerns home. And so it wasn't like the glamorous decision at all from that perspective. Like, I knew that it was still going to be some emotional work. That's how I knew that, like, this wasn't me. It wasn't me running from anything in Richmond. It truly was God-led in that way. And then outside of that, there were a number of things that kept happening in my personal life that I was just like, okay, it's just time to be home. My parents had gone through a divorce, and so that changed my family dynamic. The manager that I've been speaking of, that changed on my job. So that was different. COVID had hit, so the nature of the job was different. And then I had a brother who was killed in June, so that hit different. So, and then the divorce was happening, so no ties keeping me in Richmond. So things kept happening that were changing the life as I knew it. Friends were leaving Richmond. Just things were happening that the life that I knew was different. And so that also kept pushing me in this direction of, okay, like, I think it's just time, like, things start to happen. The stars are aligning. The job that I ended up taking kind of fell into my lap in a way, like it came open at the perfect time. And I was just a really great fit for the role, and it was just like an easy and smooth process. So things just kept aligning that made me go, I think it's just time. I think my time in Richmond is just up. And it was heartbreaking. So that actually leads me into one of the next questions for guided discussion, which was, how was the move emotionally? And it was really bittersweet. It was hard kind of getting that question about, like, are you excited to move home and that kind of thing, because it wasn't that I wasn't excited. It's just bittersweet. Like, so many of the circumstances surrounding the move was bitter, and nothing was wrong in Richmond. Nothing was broken. Nothing was going on in Richmond that truly made me feel like I can't wait to get out of here. So it wasn't that kind of move where it's like, I'm just so ready to move and get out of here and start over. It wasn't necessarily that. It was more so recognizing what I needed to do for me despite XYZ. So it was really, really, really bittersweet. My coworkers at my job, like, my job was not just my job. My job was a safety net. My job was community. My job was love. Like, my coworkers were my family, not just coworkers. And it priceless, okay? Whatever the commercials are that have that little tagline, priceless, because you don't get that. Like, I was very fortunate and grateful, and God was looking out for me when he placed me in that office. And just, when I think about my coworkers and my job and that community, I tell people all the time that, like, they held my arms up in ways that I can't even begin to describe and explain. I can't, y'all. And, like, they don't even always know that they're doing that thing for me, but they are. I remember, like, the first weekend after Jonathan had moved out, like, I was in my office just, like, crying to everybody, having conversations with them, and just feeling so supported, and going to church with some of them, and doing holidays. And it was just So it was like leaving one family to come to another family, you know. So just bittersweet. And even packing up the house that I lived in was the first house that we bought. And we were kind of fortunate, I say, in a way that like our divorce was pretty clean in terms of who gets what, who divides up what, because we had pretty much two of everything, including two houses. But the house that I was in was the first house that we purchased together, and the house that we had lived in together. And the house that he was in was not the house that any of those memories were created in. And so I was there, you know, sitting in that. And so even packing up the house, you know, I intentionally like gave myself a lot of time to pack up the house. I started packing like 2 months in advance, just because I wanted to take my time. I was going to be going through things. I knew I was going to be coming across things that I had forgotten about. My house was decorated with a lot of things from our wedding. So figuring out, you know, what I was ready to let go of and what I wasn't ready to let go of. And it was just, you know, back down memory lane, and it was going to be really emotional. It's also why I wanted to do it myself and by myself, because I just really wanted to take that opportunity to dive into those emotions, whatever they were. And they did come up, just going through so many things. And so definitely bittersweet. And bittersweet doesn't mean that it's any indication that this move wasn't the right move. It's just that like my heart is in Richmond. Like Richmond is the first place that I lived after school on my own. And it's kind of like where I grew up in that way, you know, like spent majority of my 20s there. And those are what I consider some of the most formative years, where you're really like finding yourself. And so, you know, it just will always have that piece of my heart in that way. And so then what am I looking forward to with the move? And I wrote down digressing, laughing hard, and focusing on me. And so digressing, like in Richmond, life was busy and on the go, and there was always something happening. So I can't remember if I talked about it in the video sharing my testimony or what. I may have to go find it, but the gist is that I moved there in 2014, starting my job. I started dating in 2015. I got engaged and married in 2016. We bought a house in 2017. We bought another house in 2019. Different changes are going on my job. So there was always something happening the entire time I was there. I had found and joined the church that I was at. And I was really involved and busy with that. So I was always on the go and doing something. And so now I'm looking forward to just like, okay, that exact thing, that deep sigh and just release and all of that. That's the digressing that I'm looking forward to. Laughing hard. Being back with my family is already proven to be so great. I'm just looking forward to getting back to that, because so much of my marriage was a wrestle and not easy, you know. So I'm looking forward to just the things that come more natural and come more easy, kicking it with the people that I'm close to and just having a good time, because that's me. I just like to laugh and drink and eat and have a good time. So I'm looking forward to that. And then just focusing on me. It's a little dicey for me to say that, because I don't want it to come off as selfish. At least in a negative way. It is selfish, but not necessarily in a negative way. Focusing on me in terms of doing the work. I knew that I needed to come home to heal. And that came out in a conversation with my manager, where I was talking to him, telling him the news about me, you know, wanting to move home. And in that conversation, I said, without knowing, I hadn't thought about this previously, but what came out was, I feel like I'm staying here in Richmond to prove a point, as opposed to making the move that I need to make emotionally, what's actually going to be healing for me. And, it was proving, I was trying to prove a point to me that you've done this and you can do this, but I didn't need to. I didn't need to prove a point to anybody. And so coming home, I'm really looking forward to doing the emotional work. There's so many things that have come up in this divorce process that have just revealed so much of my character that's not great. So many roots of those things. So I'm looking forward to becoming more healthy emotionally in that way, because I haven't been. And because I'm a type A outgoing personality, you don't easily see that in your interactions with me, but God has just been revealing so much that I need to work through. So that's the part that I'm looking at focusing on. And then, how is it so far? I wrote everything I didn't know that I needed. It's been so great. The digressing part has been amazing. Part of that is thank you, COVID, because life is still, less busy from that perspective. But coming home, having my family so close, having people able to just be able to stop by, and me just being able to hit them up and be with them, and just, the conversations and the laughs, and being in a different space that isn't the house that I was in, and it just being mine. I was talking to a friend earlier this week, and I was reminded of the fact that, like, my first year in Richmond was the only year that I've lived by myself. And then from that point I got roommates, and from that point I got married, and I had roommates in college. So I'm looking forward to, like, this is just all mine. And everything that comes with, I'm super excited about, and it's already proved to be so great for me already. So that's the gist. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep you all updated and posted. I like engaging with you all in that way, and just letting you all know how things are going, and allowing you to stay on this journey. But I just wanted to provide some of that, so that people who may be contemplating similar decisions or whatever have you can hear just realistically what it was like getting to the point of making the decision to move back home. Because it's not always, sometimes we're looking for the big bang and the big sign and all of that, and the answer to if we should make a decision or not. But sometimes it's just not that complicated. You just have to be in tune with God and yourself enough to know, enough to be able to discern the whisper of where God may be leading you. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. Like I said, I'll continue to keep you all updated on the journey and how it's going, the good and the bad. You know me. All right. So until next time, folks, we are out. Bye, y'all.